Nightly News with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. An infant is tonight recovering in the Launceston General Hospital after being confirmed with meningococcal B disease. This is the first case of the strain this year for the state and has sparked a public health response. Our reporter Sean McComish has more.
This is the second case of meningococcal disease in Tasmania this year and the first of the B serotype. 2 weeks ago, a man in his 60s was diagnosed with the W strain disease, which was the first case in the state this year. Prior to that, a 6-month-old child from Launceston contracted meningococcal B in November last year. In 2018, there were 10 cases, 5 cases of W strain, 1 case of Y strain and 4 cases of B strain. As of late February 2019, about 96,000 young Tasmanians have received a free meningococcal ACWY vaccine, but calls remain to have the B strain included in the free vaccine rollout. Now, all we know so far about tonight's case is that the infant's family and close contacts have been told and steps have been taken to contain any spread. Symptoms of the disease include fever, severe aches and pain, headache, drowsiness and confusion. We also know the infants can be distressed, limp, pale and feed poorly. If you or anyone you know shows signs of these, the advice is to see their GP as soon as possible. Joe?
Well, here in Tasmania, the order of Senate preferences has been in the spotlight. There's also been an announcement of funding for relief organisations and the launch of attack ads.
The building and construction industry launching its own pitch to Tasmanian voters. Ads to hammer the Labor Party on its capital gains tax and negative gearing policies.
The Labor Party policy will in fact decrease the number of new homes being built, which means less new jobs, and that is not good for this state or for the rest of the country.
Policies that we put out there cost the budget $11 billion every year. So it's a choice about closing those tax loopholes or investing in hospitals and education.
Labor announcing a funding lifeline today for emergency relief organisations. $3.3 million over 3 years, accusing the government of cutting funding.
People go to these organisations when they really are at the point where they have to put food on the table, they access food hampers, they get some financial assistance.
But the best thing the Labor Party could do is not tax people the way they are, or plan to if they happen to win government, but take the Liberal plan, which is to tax people less, so they have more of their money to spend on the things that they need to live their lives.
In the wake of the One Nation gun lobby scandal, the Liberal Senate preferences in the spotlight. The party has committed to putting One Nation below Labor, but with the full list of candidates still to be finalised, the exact order of preferences is still in the air.
That's not a matter I've canvassed with the State Director. There will be opportunity for these discussions to happen over time. As I say, the one thing I'm out campaigning for is for people to vote Liberal at this election.
Of course, you can't put everyone last, but absolutely we are calling particularly on the Prime Minister and the Liberal Party and the National Party to place these extreme candidates last.
In the lead up to the election, the Greens commissioned polling last month. They're keeping Tasmanian voting intentions close to their chest, but have released data suggesting 61% of Tasmanians support a ban on corporate political donations.
And we need to get this dirty corporate influence out of our democracy so that our parliament starts working to look after the environment and look after ordinary people.
Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
The RACT has revealed a 30-year, $300 million vision to help fix Hobart's traffic issues. Oddly, for an automotive group, it sees a future away from cars. It wants to encourage people to catch public transport and for authorities to implement revolutionary technology.
This is the RACT's vision for a future Hobart, an integrated transport system embracing technology like self-driving vehicles.
Let's draw the line in the sand and look forward and work out what we need to do to make the city more livable into the future.
Its study finding only 6% of Hobartians use public transport to get to work, 8% walk or cycle, while 84% drive themselves.
More motorists use their vehicles in Hobart than any other capital city in Australia, and we need to make a change to that, otherwise we're going to see further complications on our road network over the future.
In the first 5 years, it wants the removal of on-street parking to prioritise public transport, new separated cycleways, park and ride services and ferry routes with easy connections at the terminals.
Don't just put in a ferry, but put the infrastructure around the start points and end points of that ferry option, otherwise they won't get used.
Instead of light rail in the northern suburbs, it proposes trackless trams. They would use part of the rail corridor but end in the CBD. Using guidance systems instead of tracks, the cost expected to be cheaper. The transition to self-driving vehicles and smart traffic signals also forecast.
Hobart needs to take the lead now to be a smart city, and to do that we need to use the technology that is here and also technology coming to ensure that we make things easier for commuters.
The goal of the $335 million worth of projects to get 20% of commuters using modes other than personal cars. The RACT warning the other option is a major infrastructure overhaul costing $1.5 billion.
We know that the car and roads aren't the answer to everything, and I think auto clubs worldwide recognise that. Our interest is making sure that people can do what they need to do in their daily lives in the best way possible.
The three state parties have welcomed the vision, the government asking Infrastructure Tasmania to review the study. Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
As the community in Christchurch continues to heal, around 400 Hobart residents have shared messages of condolence, written and bound in a book and sent off today. It follows a vigil held to honour victims and those who have been deeply affected by the tragic events.
So it is very meaningful and it is very important that Hobart City has done this type of condolence books and vigils and things, which is great.
Christchurch is a city not unlike Hobart, and to see such a dramatic and violent event happen really, I think, shocked the Hobart community, and a lot of that is reflected in the messages.
Around 50 people died after an Australian gunman fired at a mosque in March. His plans to build a pulp mill divided the state, but former guns boss John Gay is being remembered by some as a man who was passionate about Tasmania. The 75-year-old passed away on Thursday following a long battle with cancer. Today, those close to him recalled his generosity and determination.
Growing up in a timber milling family, it wasn't surprising John Gay went on to become a towering figure in the industry.
Nothing was going to stop John from doing what he really wanted to do, and that was something special for Tassie.
In 1986, he took over as the boss of Guns Limited. By 2008, it was worth $1 billion. But John continued to dream big. Champagne was poured when the company picked Bell Bay for its pulp mill site.
It was a difficult one, but at the end we had to make a commercial decision, and with the facilities of Georgetown, an industrial site.
The proposal would become his legacy and lead to a bitter fight that pitted Tasmanians against each other. There was political support at home and abroad.
The welcome was a little warmer at Guns Limited, where the Prime Minister toured the facility and pressed the flesh.
The mill would never happen. In 2010, Mr Gay resigned from the company as its share price dropped. 2 years later, Guns went into administration. John Gay was diagnosed with cancer. And in 2013, he avoided prison after pleading guilty to insider trading.
Why didn't you go to the ASX with your exceptional circumstances before you made the sale?
From then on, he avoided the spotlight.
I met him a lot of recent times socially as a sick man. He wasn't bitter. He had reasons to be bitter.
He was generous with his donations. He was generous with his support for charities. He was in every way a true great Tasmanian.
John Gay leaves behind a wife and 2 children. He was 75. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Australia's first ever Nobel Peace Prize winner is visiting Hobart and is speaking in a forum tonight to urge Australia to join a treaty banning nuclear weapons. Professor Tilman Ruff won his award in 2017 after co-founding the International Campaign.
This treaty is a historic development that we should be part of. It provides a path for all nations to fulfil their obligations to achieve a world free of nuclear weapons and remove.
Professor Ruff will speak at a conference in Malaysia at the end of the month. Mona's latest exhibition is set to shock and surprise, with guests soon able to dine on some of Australia's invasive species. While wild cat isn't on the menu for now, it is one of the thought-provoking products Mona wants us to consider consuming.
This rainbow-coloured centrepiece is described as the world's largest glockenspiel, and it's here in Tasmania.
It took a NASA scientist to do some work on the wave science and how to create an instrument like this.
It's on show at Mona's latest exhibition by Kashayla, David Walsh's wife. It's used for healing treatments and is also a feasting table with a surface of invasive species such as seaweed and camel and deer fat.
It has a beautiful texture. It sounds disgusting, but it smells quite sweet because of the beeswax. And it feels really interesting.
If so inclined, visitors can perch on these velvet seats to settle in for a Mona feast and become an art piece themselves, as long as they're dressed the same colour as a step. That feast has a focus on species often regarded as pests.
I suppose we're suggesting that these might be more logical things to eat, especially when it's a beautiful meat like venison or boar or rabbit. And there's an abundance, it's an ecological way to eat.
On this table, meals will be served which will incorporate species such as sea urchins and cane toads. Using these resources, Mona says, is a way of turning flora into feature.
So this is really asking the question, if they're in your environment, should you or can you eat them?
The exhibition will officially be launched tomorrow and is called Eat the Problem, the same as Kirsch's newly released book, which includes a recipe for cat consommé.
You know, I don't think that we're saying cat is really something that everyone should be putting on the menu, but as part of an art feast, maybe a tiny taste is okay.
And in true Mona style, it's already raising ire.
And once you label a living being, you know, a profit-making venture, you actually negate that animal's inherent right to exist.
No doubt also to spark controversy, Dark Mofo, with its program just released.
The visual art offering is one of the biggest we've ever done. The breadth of the offering is one of the biggest we've ever covered.
The countdown is on for the 3 weeks in June where Hobart is painted red.
There'll be something for people to love. There might be something for people to not love. We'll see.
Louise Hedger, 7 Tasmania News.
In what could be a first for the state, the Southern Football League now has more female players than male. Kingborough's entry to the women's competition tips the balance, and interest is showing no sign of slowing down.
In another sign, the female footy revolution is here. These Tigers are part of a special milestone before they even play their first game. The club's admission to the Southern Football League lifts the number of female registrations in the league above males for the first time. And here's one reason why.
In the women's sport, we don't get to tackle, so it's just a bit of fun to have a bit of a tackle.
Kingborough was at risk of becoming a football orphan after the competition it was in collapsed. The SFL threw the club a life jacket, boosting the league's female numbers. And with Brighton's withdrawal from the men's competition, it now creates a new look landscape.
The interest for the girls has just risen greatly in the past couple of years, and there are just more girls that want to play and get involved.
Coupled with the public's warming to the AFLW and more investment in grassroots facilities, there could be more stories like this.
I know when I was growing up, sort of having that sort of hero in the AFL gives you that motivation as a youngster to go out there and play and work on your skills. And you know, we have our own North Melbourne Tassie team, so what a fantastic opportunity for the girls to now, you know, work on their skills and try and aspire to be like, you know, one of their heroes in the AFLW.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
She was known as the original housewife superstar, and now the public can see inside the world of the late Marjorie Bly at a new exhibition. Among the Tasmanian's prized possessions are a hand-knitted jumper, her wedding dress from the 70s, and some of the famous advice which helped her become a household name. Marjorie's son Ross says her household hints are still relevant today.
I think she was perhaps before her time in many ways, and I think she wanted the world to spin along in the way that she felt it should.
I think she was at the forefront of really crafting and being creative, and a lot of the things that people today are kind of reclaiming and enjoying.
Marjorie Bly died in 2013 at the age of 96. The exhibition opens tomorrow at the Queen Victoria Museum and Art Gallery. Hobart's Mac2 shed is now home to 2 million Lego bricks, with a new colourful exhibition set to open tomorrow morning. Expert builders today putting the finishing touches on the constructed models, including the tallest creation in the Southern Hemisphere.
Adding the final touches brick by brick. These models were carefully built in Melbourne and have travelled down to Hobart for tomorrow's opening of the Brickman Awesome Lego exhibition.
So we've brought 37 models of things that we consider really awesome from around the world. Everyone has a passion for Lego. No matter what, you sort of can't lie to yourself. There's always something there.
These kids are getting a first glance at one of the only life-sized Lego Harley-Davidsons ever made, while attempting their own versions.
What are you building here today?
A motorbike.
Why are you building a motorbike?
Because I'm trying to make my own and trying to make it sort of differenter.
Why do you like playing with Lego?
Because you can break it and then build something new.
The display featuring even larger creations, like the tallest brick model in the Southern Hemisphere, towering at 7.5 metres and made of 450,000 bricks. This NASA SLS rocket replica took 5 people around 2 months to create and is one of the many show-stopping pieces launching in Hobart tomorrow.
And I think that, it sort of ignites a lost love, and they can go home and create something amazing. It's just a really great day out. I mean, who doesn't love Lego, right?
Lego Fever kicks off tomorrow and runs until Sunday 28. Ruby Kamane, 7 Tasmania News.
Not only have they had winless starts to the year, but North Hobart and Launceston agree on why they're struggling on field. They both blame inexperience for their slow starts, making tomorrow's head-to-head clash a true test of where each club is at. It's been a deflating start to 2019 for the Blues and the Demons, with 2 losses from 2 games. Their problems exacerbated by the absence of big-name players.
I'll be honest, I don't think fitness is our issue. I just think it's the experience. Like, some of these guys now have played 10 to 15 games. It's not a real lot.
And it doesn't get easier for North Hobart, with handy Melbourne Demons pickup Colin Garland still missing for at least another week, while there's similar thinking at Windsor Park.
Purely and simply, it's an experience that we just haven't quite been able to go the distance for 4 quarters.
There is good news on the horizon, with skipper Jay Blackberry nearly ready to return from a knee reconstruction. Tomorrow will reveal which side has the best of the fresh faces.
There's no hiding from the fact that it's definitely a new campaign for the football club.
While Kingborough's talking up some big one-on-one clashes against Lauderdale,
Bell Chambers, Walsh, Josh McGuinness will go through there, Siggins will go through there, up against Ryan Matthews, Kieran Lovell, Lockie Clifford back into our team. So it's going to be worth watching. You want to see those guys go head to head.
And Penguins Dial Park will host the state's first taste of NAB League action on Sunday. The Devils host the Calder Cannons.
We're coming up against one of the metro sides out of the Victorian side of the competition. We've played the NT and the Swans Academy first up, so this is going to be a really good test coming up against a tried and true ex-TAC Cup side.
Australian swimming's teen sensation produced a special performance in Adelaide last night. 18-year-old Ariane Titmus equalled her Australian and Commonwealth records to win the national 400 metres freestyle title more than 12 seconds ahead of the field. And ecstatic William Yang reversed the 100 backstroke result to upstage Mitch Larkin in the 50. The Australian swimming titles finished tonight live and free on 7-2. An old rivalry is about to reignite when NPL newcomer Glenorchy takes on the Hobart Zebras at KG5 on Sunday. It's been 4 years since the two sides came face to face in the top flight league.
You go back through football rivalry in my time from the 70s all the way through the 80s. Juventus and Croatia were always #1 enemies, just a major one.
Once we really cross that white line, I think we'll see a little bit of rivalry there for sure.
The two sides are 4th and 5th on the NPL table. And Launceston Tornadoes import Stephane Gardner admits to being a big fan of her coach Derek Washington. Originally from New Jersey, Gardner's played in leagues all around the world, but playing under a fellow American is something she isn't used to.
I'm used to adjusting to people who aren't American, so now I feel like I have to make an adjustment back. Dancing on the sidelines and things of that nature, yeah, he's very passionate and he brings that energy to the team.
The guard plays her second game for the Tawns against the Hobart Huskies in Kingborough tomorrow night.
Good evening, very excited I am. Tomorrow is World Record Day as we celebrate everything vinyl, and the rumour is that things are going to be very smoky because of the cold nights ahead, people starting their wood fires up. They would have last night too, with temperatures dropping well below average. Lyawini's -3 was the lowest. Today Hobart recorded 22, the state's warmest, Launceston 17, Burnie and Devonport 16 degrees. Maximum temperatures above average for all areas apart from the north. Friendly Beaches and Campania 21, Ouse 20, King and Flinders Islands 19, Smithton and St Helens 18 today, Strawn and Low Head 17. Fine and cloud-free over the eastern half of the state, with most of the clouds sticking to the northern areas and into Bass Strait and down the west coast. Cloud under the large high also sat over eastern coastal parts of the mainland. The cold front has produced the band of cloud that stretches back towards Western Australia, and still some cloud with a low off the top of WA. Tomorrow the cold front pushes through, extending a trough over the mainland. Another high develops over the Bight and an inland trough runs through Queensland. The wind starting from the west-northwest but shifting southerly during the morning, and then a total swing around to the east-southeast later at 10 to 20 knots. The forecast for tomorrow as we kick off the weekend: early showers for Hobart 17, 16 and an early shower for Medina, Oatlands 15 degrees. Launceston 22 with a shower or two, a possible shower for Devonport 20 and Lyawini 14 degrees. A possible shower for Burnie, 20 the maximum. Early showers for Strawn and Marrawar, 17 for those centres. And for the east tomorrow, St Helens a shower or two and 19. Showery also for Swansea and Orford, mainly early in the day. On Sunday, fine and partly cloudy until a shower develops over the southeast later. A fine start to Monday, but a shower will develop over the north and east in the afternoon. And on Tuesday, fine and mostly sunny after the chance of an early shower over the northeast and northwest. Partly cloudy for Perth tomorrow, along with Adelaide. Temperatures in the mid to high 20s though. A cloudy 19 forecast for Melbourne, sunny in Sydney, fine for Brisbane and Darwin. A little bit of cloud around at the moment. 13 degrees in Hobart, 13 in Launceston, 13 in Devonport. National Record Store, Joe. There's plenty of independent record labels out there and they've got the stores open tomorrow. Look at that. That's the Skyhooks Living in the 70s album. Worth its weight in gold. That'll help me with my retirement, which I'm sure you're hoping comes very quickly.
My word, I am. I'm putting into your fund as well. Thank you very much, Murph. That's all from the team. Have a lovely evening. See you a little later. Bye-bye.